who I get to be in life. So I decided I'm going to be a strong, masculine guy. And so I got into lifting weights. I got into self-development. And eventually I put myself out there in the dating world a lot. And I learned a lot and grew a lot. And I would say I'm a pretty strong, confident guy now.
You said the more muscle I put on, the more affordable, attractive, healthy girls will be available to you. How does that work?
Well, because the more muscle you have on your body, the more testosterone your body produces to maintain it. And working out, it raises your testosterone and it masculinizes you. And feminine women are attracted to masculine men.
Being healthy and muscular is more attractive.
Yeah,
you talked about the greatest harm to men right now. You said there's a lack of positive masculine role models, and that Andrew Tate is stepping in to fill that role.
Exactly.
Okay. And you think in a positive way. And the greatest harm for women, you said, teaching women to not value the right things, to go for men that are soft and not masculine.
It's part of the picture. So I'm far from the only guy who's ever felt like no one ever taught him how to be a man growing up. And so I've had my mentors, I've had my learning experiences, and there's no like one guy who I look up to. It's a bunch of men I've known who've taught me what I could be, what I could become. And Andrew Tate is not nearly one of the most important ones, but I do see the value he's adding. Like there are a lot of young men, boys.
Even just saying that phrase, I see the value he's adding. Like they just don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing is like, you just can't, it's kind of like with Trump, right? It's like, I'm glad that we did not get into an absolutely new foreign war, right? When Trump was president. It was the first president since God knows when, right? Since I can't even remember. Right. That didn't get us into a new war. You say shit like that, and all of a sudden, like, it's true. It's absolutely true. And it's a great thing. Like
Kennedy.
Like probably, but like, it's one of these things where you say that to people who hate Trump. And even though it's a good thing, just because they hate him, right? They are going to jump on that. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like this, it's like, just because he says that, like, oh, they're like, let's say the value was like 50% of what he says he likes. The other 50% is trash. Like just saying there's any value in what he's saying is like, they just don't want to hear it. You know,
they want to make it look like he lives and dies by everything Tate says.
Exactly.
Boys out there who maybe their father's not in their life. They've had a weak father. They haven't had many positive male role models growing up. And to them, they're seeing Andrew Tate as an aspirational figure. Like they don't have to, aspire to be 100% like him. They don't have to have the same goals, take the same action he's taking. But he's one guy of many who's showing them that they could be more than just some coward, more than just some weak guy who doesn't know how to stand up for himself, doesn't know how to stand up for what he believes in.
Yeah, you said that women are not guided by love. They're being guided by an evil agenda.
Well, there's been a lot of programming out there that's taught men and women to hate each other instead of love each other in the past decade especially. And so there's a lot of messages in the media, in society, that's making men afraid of women and making women afraid of men instead of loving each other, instead of...
He's saying some good stuff, but he sounds like he's about to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he could just come apart from the pressure. He looks like he wasn't ready to be put in this situation. I'm appreciating the way, again, this was not a bad show, I don't think. I'm appreciating the way they let him get it all out. And the more he goes on, there's less laughable things he says and there's more on point things he says, but it was still so terrible that they were like, you have one representative of what the average person who more than half agrees what Andrew Tate looks like. And to the public, this is it. This is the only one. There's not two, there's not three. It's just him, to give the impression that they're all like this.
Instead of, leaning into our natural roles and our personalities.
And what's the evil part?
And that's the wife,
Evil
right?
part? Well, anything that promotes hatred, anything that promotes division on whatever part of the political, ideological spectrum it is. So anything that's teaching you to hate someone else or look down on someone else for any reason.
Yeah. So do you have women friends?
Oh yeah, I have some female friends who I value.
Yeah. Do you hope to get married someday?
Oh yeah, eventually. Yeah. It's not a very pressing goal of mine right now. I have a lot of other things I'm focusing on,
Respect.
but down the line, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, when we come back, should
Good
we
answer.
be worried about something called the manosphere? And our
Because we're coming like an army.
We're
apparently.
coming, we're coming, you guys.
We're gonna be parachuting down with
That's
Tate
fucking
flags.
What
great.
that's all about.
What do I tell that chick who's 26 years old, who's probably making more money than most of the
Let's go,
guys I
OG.
know? She's an alpha male, right? What do I tell her? Dumb yourself down?
A lot of the work that I've done really for about 20 years right now gets distorted quite a bit to the point where I've got to come on the Dr. Phil show and be an apologist for Andrew Tate, which I am not going to do.
So why do they call you the godfather of the manosphere?
This is so crazy.
When you're
Fucking love
30,
Rolo.
you can still land a pretty 22-year-old girlfriend, but a woman at 30, she might be beautiful, she might be sexy, but she is past her prime.
I'm really reaching my limit with him.
Yeah.
It was just like-
Sexes viscerally know this. A regular guy.
Kind of reminds me of like he's like slightly like related to like Vitalik a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some
He's
Russian.
got the
Vitalik-
crazy eyes right
Yeah.
there.
I
Look at that
know.
shit, you know?
Spurgy, man.
Let me comment on real quick. I think they gave this part of it, like even just in the coming attraction part of Rolo's interview was where I started to see him like, oh, they're gonna give him as fair of a shake as like mainstream media is gonna allow him to.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
Which
off
is
rip.
probably why he must have had like a couple different things. Like one, like, hey, I have this stipulation. We have to like at least give it. Like I'd be curious to hear that. But
Yeah.
then like the other thing was like in terms of the timing, right? Because you said he was like waiting a few years to kind of come on this. He was
Yeah.
also waiting for something like this, like when Andrew Tate was the
Yeah.
to be able to take advantage.
In
of that thing,
in
too.
particular, the clips they chose of him from YouTube to show the audience who he is, I was surprised. They showed flattering pictures
Mhm.
and they showed flattering clips because they could have found clips of, Rolo does 5-hour shows and part of it's the statistics and part of it's the nuts and bolts. And then the other part of it is him just being a media personality and wilding out a little bit the way the Rolo version of wilding out, talking his bit of shit and talking his, whatever. And I'm saying they could have chose a much less flattering clip,
Right.
made it look like he was talking nonsense out of context. But I think what they're showing him stating is the Rolo we know. It's
Rolo
like it's
educated
a fair
yeah.
analysis, a fair educated analysis of the dilemma of if you as a woman made yourself into everything that the man you always wanted is, you kind of already hit your ceiling, which is also a quote. It's a quote that's not by him. I forget who it was, the woman that initially said it, but that's a quote by a woman. I forget if it's a media personality or I forget who she was. I wish I had the fucking knowledge off top. That's why I'm not Rolo, because I don't retain shit like that. But
Dude,
fucking
the cool thing about the dynamic of that kid going first, for people that don't know Rolo, when he comes on after sitting through that kid and the way he speaks and what he says, you get that sense of like, who the fuck is this? Like, oh, like you feel Rolo's energy and his like the suave, poised, educated side of like a man.
it's the
on
only
the pod.
suaveness you've seen so
Yeah,
fucking far.
literally,
It's just this
because
shit
previous-
show.
You can tell the confidence.
Yes,
Rolo
and
has.
Rolo.
Like everything he's saying is like,
Mhm.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a woman who said that. He quoted her by name on our show, and she phrased it as a woman saying this. That said it. She said, some of us women are building ourselves into the men that we always wanted to marry. And that's a quote that Rolo uses. So it's like
Yeah,
a quote
I've
by
heard
a
that
woman.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's another quote too. Like some women dress their kids as the guys who left them.
Oh, the pictures
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
Dude.
They're crazy.